So thank you, Sheila, for such an amazing story. Thank you. And also thank you for speaking to the fact that the Accelerate program, Help Inspire, was a point of light to this transition. And one thing in my experience, working with multifaceted leaders like yourself, the recurring theme is that multi talented people are usually the most conflicted because they have a lot of opportunities. And I was wondering how, probably through the program, you were able to overcome that, and how you think right now all your multiple interests have been meshed together and it embodies your personal brand and story, the work that you're doing right now.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I'm remembering what you told us during the program, and I hope I don't butcher how you said it, but uh, you asked us a series of questions, and you're just like, okay, well, what are you good at? And I was just like, well, I'm good at fashion. I'm good at product management. I'm good at project management. I'm good at speaking with people. And you're like listening. I think I went through a list of 12, and then you listened calmly. And when I was done listing my resume, you're like, okay, what are you good at? And I was just like, okay, Benga, like, okay, maybe I'm good at 5 things. And you're like, okay, if you were in a desert, how did you say? If you were in a desert and you needed to survive, no, no, if you were in an island, I believe, yes, if you're in an island and you needed to survive and you only had one skill and that skill was gonna help you survive, what would it be? I was dumbfounded. I was like, wait a minute. And I was like stuck. And the more I thought about it, everything kept leading up to. I was just like, well, I'm a people person,
Mm.
and you're just like, okay, that's a skill. I was just like, really? You're like, that's a skill. You're like, how are you a people person? I was like, well, I'm good at communicating anything. I could probably sell you just about anything that I truly believe in, and I'm passionate about that. He was just like, you were like, okay, all right. You're just like, take that concept and use it to apply it to everything you're currently doing. And from that, we'll build not your resume, but we'll build. Well, actually, we ended up rebuilding my resume,
Your
but
personal
also,
brand.
yeah, build your personal brand. And I think that was huge for me, for somebody who's all over the place, because I can learn. I just know I can learn something, probably like 10, 15 minutes, and then I'm just like, all right, cool, and I can apply it. I'm really good at that. But this kind of forced me to redefine my business, my personal brand, and what it looks like, client facing, public facing. And once I did that, it made it so much easier to communicate what I do, and so much easier to build off of. I hope I answered your question correctly.
And yes, yes, you
Okay.
did. And how has that translated
Mm.
into the work that you're doing right now? Do you think that you have enough avenue to utilize, interest, passions that you have,
Mhm.
um, maybe the work you do, the DC Youth Corps,
Mhm.
helping to shape this future
Mhm.
entrepreneurs? Do you think that has become an outlet to which?
Absolutely. Your accelerator course was an asset to me, and this is why. Because I guess because I'm multi talented, I can actually say that with confidence now. But because I'm multi talented, I started learning to take the different pieces of my work and make it into a lifestyle brand.
Hmm.
And what does that mean? It gave me confidence to be able to launch multiple initiatives and tie them under one entity that I'm good at, which
Hmm.
is people, client facing, people facing. And so DC Youth Corps is a community based initiative where we work with young people and teach them entrepreneurship, but we tier it with tech development as well as workforce development. And what does that mean? It means a young person from Washington, D.C. can go through our program and know how to start their own business and also have experience with a technical track, whether it's UX design, web development, ecosystem building, data science. And it came out of the idea that the middle class is constantly growing and people of color are constantly left behind. It's now really hard actually to go in DC and look for DC residents, as in people who were born and raised generations in DC. And we're trying to create awareness, but trying to give these young people the skills they need to migrate through life and be confident enough to stay within their city. Because right now, you can look at all the paperwork. All it's saying is, as a black person who's born and raised and their family's from Washington D.C., they can no longer afford to be from their home city. That's scary to me. That's like somebody saying, as somebody born and raised in Uganda, I can no longer afford to be a Ugandan. What does that say about my identity? If I can no longer afford to be from where I was born, that's scary. And it goes back to the piece of my grandmother and her children, right? My mother, right? So the idea of taking who you are, who yourself is, and creating opportunity from others, from your inherent purpose, your inherent skills. So when I went through your program, I learned that the education piece is huge. So how do we equip young people with the education they need to not only be a diamond in the rough, but to be more than self, as in to be leaders within their community, and therefore also create jobs within their community. So now that's one piece of me that was able to excel, right? Another piece of me that was able to excel is the programming piece, a larger conversation of education, right? So currently right now I'm working with IO Spaces through their IO Learn program, which is equipping entrepreneurs with the skills they need as well to build their businesses. So one program was with the young people. Another program was with a company that I truly believe in and believe in their work. And another piece of me is the fashion piece, right? So it's how do I express self to the world, right? You can kind of see this is a piece actually I got from Uganda. These I put together, and these I got from Uganda as well. So how do I take my fashion and express that to the world of who I am? And so I'm a co-founder of an e-commerce product where people can go online and buy different pieces that I've picked from around the world or actually made myself. So going back to your conversation about being multi-talented, before I was just about everywhere. But now all of these different pieces, if you put them together, they're part of my purpose. And all of my work doesn't feel like work. I'm excited, right? Because I'm either dressing myself up or helping others purchase products that would make them happy, right? The other piece of it, I'm giving young people skills that would actually give them the opportunity to be able to afford to live in the communities that they were born in, right? And within that, I'm doing exactly what my grandmother and my mother taught me, which is how do you create jobs not only for yourself, but for others within your community, right? So the workforce development piece. And then with Spaces, it's the opportunity to also be able to give entrepreneurs skills that they need as well for professional development, for their for their lifestyle development. So it's making all these pieces have the same conversation to me.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.